Are you excited about Solana? Because I'm excited about Solana. We've got 5 up since our bottom that we hit last week, but that's not all. We have what we're calling a leading diagonal here on our short-term chart. This is our linear 15-minute chart, very short term. Ever since we hit our bottom at around 81.12, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. They fit within a trend channel as shown here. So that's better than nothing and better than a lot of the other cryptos are doing right now. We have 5 up. Now, ideally, when we want to see a reversal from a bottom, we want 5 waves up, but not in diagonal form as we're seeing here. We would prefer that in impulsive form. And the difference is with the diagonal, you have this whipsaw, this reciprocation, in which you have deep retraces after each wave, and your fourth wave crosses below the top of the first wave peak. That's what we're seeing here. And the subwaves within are all really choppy and really, they oscillate a lot. They're not clearly impulsive either. So this would be best identified potentially as a diagonal up. So not as good as having an impulsive 5-wave pattern in which you don't have this fourth wave retrace, and the shape looks very different. So with that in mind, it is better than seeing an ABC pattern up, which is what we are honestly seeing, in my opinion, in a lot of other cryptos, such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. Look at Bitcoin. We had a big spike up here. It's not a clear 5-wave pattern. Had a more obvious example of this with Ethereum, where you have what I'm calling AB, and then this has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 diagonal look to it. So we're doing better here in Solana than we were, or than we are in Bitcoin and Ethereum. The rest of the cryptos are a mix. There's a bunch that have 5 up like this and a bunch that don't. What makes this treacherous, however, is that this could be interpreted as an A, B, and a C. That's what you're seeing in green. And that could just mean that we're in a small consolidation before we continue on our way down. So we're going to look at that on the big picture chart in just a second. If you'd like to follow along, I do have this chart, well, the logarithmic chart I'm about to show, pasted in the description below. So feel free to follow along on that. So speaking of the big picture logarithmic chart, this is the daily view, big picture. And Solana, as I have reiterated many times, has been just completely relentless. We hadn't had a meaningful pullback in what seems like forever until now. So we hit a peak, what is it, early November, which coincides with the peak for a lot of cryptos, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. I believe some of them had a secondary peak that went a little higher, what we call a higher high, but we didn't see any such thing in Solana. And when I zoom up a little bit, look at this MACD with a classic divergence here. This is probably a third subwave within this final 5th wave, which is why you see a big peak in the MACD. You see a lower peak at the actual peak, which are classic signs of topping, and we definitely see that in Solana. And then if I zoom a bit more, take away the MACD view just to get a closer look here. When we go down, we have what I'm calling an ABC potentially. We have a clear 3-wave pattern here. It doesn't look like an impulse, potentially a leading diagonal, not sure, small bounce. And then the rest of this is what I'm calling the C wave. You could even interpret it this way, in which our spike down in December 3rd was the bottom of the A wave. We had a small, barely visible B wave, and we had a C wave down. Any way you see it, we are almost certainly in the C wave, and the two perspectives here are the 2 counts, purple and green. Purple is currently my primary, and that sees us having bottomed at that 81.12 support. I'm going to keep reiterating this 81.12 number because it is quite important. That is the support for us to hold our immediate upside. If we are going purple, we should see a relatively sharp retrace, because leading diagonals typically precede a sharp pullback in our wave 2. And with Elliott wave theory, as you may already know, our second wave off of this larger first wave structure cannot retrace below the origin point of this rally. If it breaks that, this pattern is dead immediately, and we will shift to green. And in this case, green is actually bad since I don't have a red pattern here. So the bearish pattern is the green pattern, but all hope is not lost. If we do break that setup that we have in place, if we break down below 81.12, we should fall somewhere within this greenish tinted box. And the reason I have such a wide range on this is that our pullback so far is actually quite shallow by Fibonacci Elliott wave standards. We should, well, honestly, we typically expect to see at least a 38.2% retrace. I know I was wishing for something like that in Shiba Inu a few months ago, and well, I got more than I could bargain for. Here, I'm not convinced we're going to pull back too deeply. So the top of our box is at the 23.6% retrace, which is really honestly the shallowest the second wave should be. So until we see more bullish action, I'm going to be very vigilant I'm not going to say nervous, but you really want to see a slightly deeper second wave, because second waves are where you reset the sentiment. That's where you stretch that rubber band so you can launch up to the moon. So it would be a good thing for us, not being a bear here, but it would make us more confident that the bearishness is behind us if we do drop in this green box. That green box does fall between 59.85 as our 23.6% retrace. The 30.2% retrace would fall around $24 mark, 24, something like that. If we go a bit deeper, that's fine too. You often have your second wave retraced to about where the fourth subwave was within the preceding rally structure. So that could put us in the low $20 range, $19, something like that. I'm not seeing too much pullback potential here, just because even with Bitcoin and Ethereum, the pullbacks we have had so far came pretty close to support. Even if those two pull back, I don't see us making a lower low compared to what we hit mid-summer of 2021, just because we've had expanded flat corrections. There's a lot of, well, there's not enough bearish sentiment left, in my personal opinion, to push it down anymore. So with all that being said, this is the time to start thinking about buying, because, well, we've crashed pretty hard. The risk is lower because we are lower now. You can't fall as hard if you've already fallen a bunch. So be greedy when others are fearful. Get ready to start buying. Solana does have a shorter history than most of the other cryptos, even though like Chainlink, it has a very clean pattern. It's very robust looking, even though we've had very non-standard retraces throughout its history. So I'm very optimistic about it. Regardless, don't get overconfident. If you like one speculative cryptocurrency altcoin, buy a bunch of them. Buy 7 or 8 of them. If you like this one, check out EOS, check out Bitcoin Cash, check out Dash. There's a lot of them. No reason to get too attached to one cryptocurrency. What are we expecting to see if we do start bouncing? This is just a very rough projection, but typically we will see our first subwave hit somewhere within the 0.32 and 0.61 retrace extension zones. So that could put us at $600+ just for the first wave alone. I would not put that past Solana, because we saw what happened towards the end of 2021. We tore right up. We were at what, $20? We went all the way up to $265. If we see anything even remotely resembling that, our minimum target could get us 7 or 8x return just on this first wave alone. And when I say first wave, it is the first subwave of a much larger third wave. Where could that take us? A lot higher. That's where I'm going to leave it at. So if you don't want to miss any updates, I'm going to have a lot of videos on how to allocate your buys, when to buy, different projections for returns. So don't forget to subscribe, and please give me a like if you enjoyed my video. Until next time, thank you for watching and happy trading.